to the Season of Self-Love, your daily dose of inspiration and encouragement. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery. Are you ready to elevate your mindset and embrace the power of self-love? Well, have you come to the right place? Each day we'll dive into topics that will empower and inspire you on your journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're looking to cultivate healthy relationships, boost your confidence, or find balance in your life, this podcast is here to support your every step on the way. We believe that self-love is the foundation of living a fulfilled and joyful life. And together we explore practical tips, insightful interviews, and transformative stories that will leave you feeling inspired and motivated. So join me Monday through Friday as we embark on this daily adventure of self-love. Tune into the Season of Self-Love podcast to start your day on a positive note and discover the limitless potential within yourself. All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2024, and I welcome you, my beautiful people, to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and as I said on Monday, April is the month of blooming, the month of blossoming, but also we're doing something different this month. It's all about affirmations. It's all about affirmations, yes.
Or affirmations.
Yes, affirmations. And today affirmation is I embrace my uniqueness and allow my authentic self to shine. So let me tell you why I have wanted to. So the that you guys are all hearing, that is I brought Dr. Will in once again this week with me. And so we can kind of tackle this affirmation. You know, a lot of times we speak affirmation, but do we truly know how to live and make that affirmation in our daily life?
Yeah, we don't usually live our affirmations. We mentally prep ourselves and then think like everything's going to be in front of us, but we don't do the work of the affirmation.
Exactly. So today is all about diving into the heart of authenticity and what it means to truly unleash your unique self. You ready for this?
That's a deep conversation right there. Okay. All right. You got it, boss. All right. Yeah.
All right, my beautiful people, we're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna come back. When we come back, we're gonna go ahead and get deeper into this. As Dr. Will say, this is a deep subject. But what I say in the beginning, we surpassed 100 episode, right? So now it's time to get deeper, right? We got to take it to the next level, right?
Let's go.
All right, it's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we will be right back.
Hey, it's Dr. Will with the Washington Wellness Institute. Here at the Institute, we focus on so many different things, but our biggest focus is modernizing how we take mental illness into holistic wellness and making healing a lifestyle. So if you're interested in taking the next steps, whether it's a clinician, community member, or simply just a friend, sign up today for a 15-minute consultation. You won't regret it. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast with Nyomi Banks, where every day is a chance to embrace self-discovery and personal growth. Join Nyomi on a transformative journey, streaming exclusively on Spotify and Breaker. With daily episodes from Monday through Friday, podcast is your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and self-love. Dive deep into engaging conversations about self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. Nyomi brings you expert insights, practical tips, and uplifting stories from thought leaders in the field. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and unlock the power of self-love. Mark your calendars and tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast. Available every weekday on Spotify and Spreaker. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself and embrace the beautiful season of self-love. Get inspired and join Nyomi Banks on the Season of Self-Love podcast.
All right, well, welcome back. It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. And today, the affirmation is I embrace my uniqueness and I allow my authentic self to shine. And we have Dr. Will right here to help us to embrace our authentic self. Hey, Dr. Will.
Hey, I'm legit and luscious. I'm ready today. Let's go.
I got the legit, but the luscious.
I had to fall. I had to fall on that one. I had to fall on that one. I couldn't go back.
All right. So before we get into the topic right now, let's take a moment to center ourselves for this breathing exercise. All right. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably or lie down with your eyes closed. And place your hands on your heart and the other one on your abdomen to connect with yourself. I want you to inhale deeply through your nose, feeling acceptance for every part that makes you unique. And I want you to hold that breath at the top of the count of 3 and acknowledging the beauty that's in your differences. Now I want you to exhale slowly through your mouth, releasing any self-doubt or judgment about your uniqueness. Now repeat this cycle of deep breathing for at least 5 rounds, focusing on self-acceptance. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Take all the joy of your authentic self. And release all of the doubt, the self-criticism. Yes. Now as you breathe, I want you to visualize you embracing your quirks, your strengths, your individuality without reservation. I want you to feel the power of confidence that comes from fully accepting and celebrating your uniqueness. Now I want you to take a final deep breath in, embodying self-love and appreciation for all that makes you special. Yes. Now open your eyes with a sense of empowerment and ready to embrace your uniqueness with joy and confidence. All right, well, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you're new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, know that we do this every day, Monday through Friday. This is a part where we center ourselves, we kind of prepare ourselves for the topic at hand. And today is all about the affirmation of embracing our unique self. And let me make sure that I say it right. I embrace my uniqueness and allow my authentic self to shine through. Okay, I want you guys just to close your eyes and just repeat after me this affirmation. I embrace my uniqueness
Embrace my uniqueness,
and I allow
and I allow
my authentic self
my authentic self
to shine.
to shine.
You know, I have different versions of this affirmation that I do, and let me tell you why. It's because I have, and I don't say because 2 of them grown now. My daughters, 2 of them grown, and my smaller one, and my middle baby. My oldest one used to always call my middle baby weird, and so I would tell her to embrace her weirdness, embrace her uniqueness, you know. And she couldn't understand or embrace it because she saw big sister doing this and she saw mommy doing this and being successful in looking the way that we look. So she always thought she looked different, which she doesn't. She looks exactly like us, but she does have a different weirdness about her. And then I told her I was weird. And I showed her how weird I was. So let me share this with you all. I remember as a little girl, I was born with 11 fingers. 11 fingers. So right here
Mm-hmm.
on my pinky, there was an
Mm-hmm.
extra there.
Mm.
You know, I used to be ashamed of this. I used to try my hardest to cut it off, everything. But then I found that it wasn't many of us like this that had this extra finger, and it made me feel special. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I was able to embrace my uniqueness. That's why I was able to honestly to create my own thing and not want to try to fit in all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so when I really sit and think back about it, that was makes me be able to sit here on this platform right now and do what I do. You understand
Mm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just being authentic, to be vulnerable, to be just there, especially when you know your truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that one of the beautiful things about that is I usually call weird people time travelers. So I call like little kids. I'm like, oh, you're a time traveler. You're not weird. You're a time traveler. What do you mean? I'm like, it just means that you're either way ahead or you're bringing something back that they're not used to. So which one are you? And so they have to decide if they're bringing something from the past or they're bringing something from the future. And I'm like, don't worry, they'll catch up. Don't worry, they'll catch up. And,
Wow.
and I used to help them understand that, like, oh, you're just a time traveler. That's all.
You know what I used to always say, that I was before my time, that I'm before my time. Yeah.
Hmm.
I would always say that I'm before my time. And I do understand it. I understand it. Well, I'm a big 51, but I understand it.
Hmm. Yeah, I tell people, like, it's crazy that the people in high school, they used to make fun of me for like, oh, you're in the band, you're weird, you're a band geek. I'm like, because I like music. I don't understand, and like I never understood it. And then now those same people are asking me, well, can you give my kid lessons, or can you show me what to do with this? I'm like, no. Or I go, yeah, it's $300 for 30 minutes.
I
Like,
know
what?
that's
How? Yeah. While you were making fun of me, that's what I was doing. That's exactly what I was doing. I was like, my weird self was trying to get to this point. So yes, I help them all they want.
right. I know that's right. All right. So with authenticity, it's about being true to who we are at our core. So beyond the mask we wear in daily life, it is so crucial. It's a very crucial component of personal growth and a source of genuine happiness. So for you, Dr.
Mm.
In your experiences, what are some common hurdles that people face in living authentic? Well, I can't say the word.
Authentic, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I would say one of the biggest things is they have trouble translating themselves. I personally, uh, in my life, it is difficult for me. I didn't know that I was dyslexic until halfway through my PhD.
Oh,
Um, and I grew up not being able to read till about the third grade. I would just memorize what people said. I had a speech impediment. I would stutter when I got emotional. And music was my way of finding the voice that I couldn't actually have. And so I have a really strong attachment to music. It's not just sound, it was my way of translating around other
communication.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my way of communication. And I couldn't write. I would look at words backwards. I couldn't comprehend, but I could hear stories really well. Very useful, but I couldn't speak, so I would just do everything.
Hmm.
um, and so I learned to navigate that. I didn't get the IEP or I didn't get those things, but I had to learn how to adjust with myself. um, and I wish I had the support. I wish that someone did take the time to, but I learned how to translate myself. And I find that a lot of people, when they struggle with authenticity,
Hmm.
the inability to translate themselves to the world that's around them or the environment that's actually present with them. Um,
Mm.
we were always thinking too far ahead, or we are thinking too far back. And it's a gift and a curse at the same time,
Mm.
depending on how you see it and how you use it for yourself and others. So yeah, I think translation is the first thing when it comes to authenticity. It's about being able to translate yourself.
Mm.
Translate yourself.
Mm. So why? Because I hear what you're saying, and I do. I hear exactly what you are saying. Can I add on a fear of judgment as well on that?
Yes, I mean the trials and tribulations, the fear and
Yeah.
judgments. That's a part of our culture, right?
Yeah. Yeah. As you were speaking, and I just saw you as a little kid. I just saw you
Mm-hmm.
as a little boy, and
Mm-hmm.
like you trying to explain. And I don't know if this coming from our conversation the other day when you were saying about how you felt that you're trying to communicate with people in a language that you understand what I'm saying. That's in a language
Mm-hmm.
that they're not understanding. But to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, that's been you all of your life. You've always had your
Yes.
own language of speaking or understanding, but we
Mm-hmm.
tend to want to fit into that box that we always,
Yes.
put in. Um, so I guess for you going through that, and I hear you when you say it's pretty hard, especially when you're going through that, to be able to be authentic in that, because you're either thinking about the past or bringing that up or whatever. And I hope I'm saying it right,
Mm-hmm.
or rushing towards the future.
Yeah.
What about the things that we talk about in being in the moment or being
Mm-hmm.
mindful in the moment, to think about looking like one, I surpassed all of that. I was able to recognize what part of my issue was. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a celebration right there. That's a
Yes.
part of knowing that I've now created a whole new sense of life, of being for me, that I'm not solely committed, not committed, leaning on music. Because when you were speaking, that
Mm-hmm.
outside music was a safe haven for him. Music was his
Mm-hmm.
superhero cape. You understand? As we
Mm-hmm.
always have these different superhero
Yes.
capes and stuff like that. And now that you know what it is, and even you speaking right now, this is your mask off. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's another part of your power that you have. And so when you say that it's difficult for you, no, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. You no longer have to, because you're
Yes.
doing everything that you want to do in life. You're doing
Mm-hmm.
everything that you want to do in life, regardless of what obstacles that you felt that you had in life, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
anybody that looked down on you and told you couldn't do because of A, B, and C, D. But you're here right now, and you here with
Yes.
phenomenal thing. I mean, you got a PhD, and you found out that you had a PhD that you had dyslexia when you was going through your PhD. So imagine how many years
Mm-hmm.
before.
All the testing, all the quizzes, all those things. Yeah. I learned who I was that
Right.
entire time.
So can you truly just see how powerful you
Mm-hmm.
are? So even when you thinking that you was wearing your mask then, you wasn't. The problem was is that could
Mm-hmm.
nobody see you. But who fault is that? That's not your fault. That's their fault.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
gotta say, I'm so glad you said that, because I think that being in a performative space, right, in those school systems, in those being told in my master's program, hey, you're not a good writer, you should definitely not go for your PhD. Being told you shouldn't do this, even though I got A's and everything else you gave me, but you didn't like my writing. Okay, it doesn't mean to work on. Say that, but to say no, you shouldn't go for that,
yeah.
literally because of that teacher, I decided to go for my PhD and then create something where I'm going to eventually have him teach what I actually created in his class,
Mm.
right? And so it's one of those things where you will not tell me no, right? You will not tell me no, because I am. And I think a lot of times those trials, right? Those trials we go through, those tribulations we endure, it really creates the authenticity and the
Yeah.
willingness, right? You have to go through the discomfort to really embrace who you are. And I think for me, going through those issues, not being able to speak but found music, not being able to read but love sound and pattern and people and learn these things, all these things were cultivated into learning how to understand people,
Yeah.
which is why I'm an amazing therapist, which is
Yeah.
why I'm an amazing psychological thinker, which
Yeah.
is why I'm able to sit and hold space for people, because I know what it's like when people didn't make space and hold space for me.
Yeah.
And so, me being authentic is just me recognizing and having the gratitude of knowing that I took the time on myself because
Yes.
other people wouldn't.
Exactly.
And that's an authenticity that other people can't embrace, and people have trouble embracing that history. Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for saying that.
No, no. Where the book at? Did you already write a book? Where's the book at? Now, you need to be on stages. Like when I say seriously, because a lot of people, when they go through that and they see that things are hard and difficult and that they have been written off or told that they cannot. And sometimes they don't have that inner strength because they haven't heard nobody with a story like yours. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm,
So for you, this is the time that you do need to speak, that you need to be as loud as the horn that you play. Does that make sense?
mm. Which,
Yeah.
which is why which is why which is why I first played my personal to you, and I said, what you're doing, your story inspired me. That's why I emailed you. I listened to your story. I heard what you had to say, and I saw myself in your work. And I
Mm.
said, I need to be connected with you.
Mhm.
And I saw myself in you. So you're a torch bringer. That's amazing. You bring the torch and you gave me light. And so my authenticity can now be seen because I was under your light. And now
Mm.
my light can be shown for somebody else.
Yes.
It's a beautiful story. It's a
Yes.
beautiful journey.
It is. All right, end of the show. No, just kidding. No, just kidding. I had to
The end.
the end. But no, seriously. And thank you for sharing that with. That's why I said this show is the bomb because we can come together and we can be real. We can come without the mask on because it's truly is bigger than us. It really is. It really is. And I'm like saying as you see in your story, I'm like, oh my God. Do this man know how loud and musical just your voice is by itself when you're speaking, when you're talking, and especially when you show the most vulnerable part of you, people will listen and hear. You just don't know. Son might be going through the same thing that you or daughter, and they don't have the knowledge or the tools to be able to help and don't
Mhm.
have the money to go to a therapist to hear it, but they can hear it right here. Like, wow, there's a whole therapist, there's
Mhm.
a whole doctor that didn't find out until he was grown in a profession that said that he can't. You understand what I'm saying? So when
I
you
was
think
33
about
years
that,
old, found out.
so imagine how strong you were all of that time. The resilience. Come on now.
Mhm.
Come on now. Now, as I'm looking at you, your face just glowing to me now. It's just glowing even
Mhm.
more.
Because
Yeah.
all my life I've always wanted to just be seen. Now people are seeing me, but now I realize that it wasn't about being seen. I wanted to be connected, and now I'm in a place of wanting to be connected with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was focused on so much on being seen, like look at me, like And now it's like no, actually, you can watch, but I need to be connected with the
Yeah.
right people. And so I'm starting to close that off right now. In this era of my life, I'm closing a lot of doors in my own home,
Mm,
and I need to preserve myself
mm,
because I recognize what my value, my worth is. My authenticity will build anybody I touch.
yeah.
It will.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. And then we come back. We're going to speak some more about this authenticity. All right.
Love
It's
it.
your girl, D Goddess Nyomi&x here on this season of Self Love Podcast. And we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast with Nyomi&x, where every day is a chance to embrace self-discovery and personal growth. Join Nyomi on a transformative journey, streaming exclusively on Spotify and Breaker. With daily episodes from Monday through Friday, podcast is your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and self-love. Dive deep into engaging conversations about self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. Nyomi brings you expert insights, practical tips, and uplifting stories from thought leaders in the field. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and unlock the power of self-love. Mark your calendars and tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast, available every weekday on Spotify and Spreaker. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself and embrace the beautiful season of self-love. Get inspired and join Nyomi&x on the Season of Self-Love podcast.
All right. Well, welcome back. It's your girl, D Goddess Nyomi&x here on the Season of Self Love Podcast. And I'm here with Dr. Will. Hey.
Hey, happy and honorable.
Happy and honorable. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so today we're talking about embracing authenticity, and we're using this affirmation: I embrace my uniqueness and I allow my authentic self to shine. And in the first segment, we had again, Dr. Will, thank you for sharing that with me. And that was good. I like
No
that.
one
That
knows that. No
yeah,
one knows that. I've only told about 3 people about that. So
really.
you number 4 now. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
mhm.
Seriously, there's a book need to be written. That you need to be standing on people's stages. You need to share that. If you're not having shared that in classes that you walked in and stuff, man, mm, it's going to change a lot of lives. Yes,
Mm.
that story. All right, so this segment we're talking about embracing vulnerability and self
Mm.
acceptance. Yes. So let's talk about vulnerability,
The V. Yeah, the V
the
word.
V word, and how can this is a question for you? How can embracing it lead us to a closer authentic selves?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to be strong enough to be vulnerable, right? You got to be strong enough to be vulnerable. You have to know what you're willing to let go and what are you willing to keep. And you can't be worried about what's outside of you. You have to be worried about what's inside of you. And if you have not done the inner work, it's going to be hard to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. And I think that's why I so focus on psychedelics and I believe in psychedelics often because it forces you to really look within and
Mm,
you can't externalize it. You have to look within. And a lot of people need that support. And so I always find that vulnerability, you have to understand the inner workings of yourself. And a lot of us have not taken the time to stop
yeah.
and just really dive in, look within. And I think the meditations that you do is a great start, but a lot of us don't know how to stay there,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
So that vulnerability alone, just embracing that vulnerability, it starts with just knowing why you're going in and what are you going in for, right? And knowing what is that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And when you say um, we don't know how to stay in there. So remember, I shared with you with you all that when I used to be in my Golden Rose room, I was sitting there for hours, and I wouldn't want to come out. Like it got to where I was addictive. Like I just wanted to be in that space and not come outside of that door because there was a
Hmm.
whole other life that was happening outside of that realm. And so what I had to learn to do is take that same energy that I had developed and created and molded and brought into that room, carry it with me everywhere I go. And see,
Mm.
in the beginning, I thought that the only time that I was able to get that was in that room. You understand what I'm saying? And then everything else,
Hmm.
once I come out of that room, life changes and it was different. But you spoke earlier about connecting, about being connected and staying connected. So now when I come out of that room, I come out in a whole total different way. Before I leave out that room, I'm already envisioning what I want to expect and what I want to see through when I come out that door. If baby
Yeah.
girl gonna be saying something, and what's my reaction gonna be to what she say? I might pass my mom room. You understand what I'm saying? And so it
Hmm.
got to better prepare me for what's to come of the day. And it took me a while to get there because I was using my golden rose room. That was a room of protection.
Yeah.
You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I was learning so many things about myself in there, like everything. And I felt like I can keep that at that time. I can keep that all to myself because I can stay right here.
Mm.
But I can't stay there all my life. I got a family.
Yeah.
I got things to
Yeah.
do. And so now you have to figure out how can you stay connected in that way and be able to take it out with you. Just
Mm.
take it out
Yeah.
with you. Yeah.
You know, and I it's so I'm so glad you said it just like this because we don't realize like what's happening in our world and what's happening outside our world so much, right? And it's hard to integrate that
Mhm.
sometimes, right? Because the expectations are different,
Yeah.
right? And just because I have expectations doesn't mean other people will take value in that. Other people may not take the same value of my own expectations.
Right.
And often it's said, well, you can't get mad at people if you don't put expectations on them. I'm like, no. You need to have expectations on them, because that is going to let them know how they're going to respect or value your presence.
Mm-hmm.
That level of vulnerability, you can't be vulnerable to people that don't even understand your core value.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you understand like how, the golden room, it was a place to recharge,
Yeah.
rebuild, reset, right? And it was
Mm-hmm.
meant to be shared. And we're so focused on the hyper individuality, right? Culturally, that we
Mm-hmm.
forget that being connected is not only a cultural trait, but it's actually what we really genuinely want as human beings. We want to be connected. As much as we like being alone, as much as we like being, you know, we want to be connected.
Yeah.
We do. And we
Yeah.
have to build that trust again to be connected.
Yeah. Yeah. When you say that, it's like when I started to go through my spiritual awakening, and when those acquaintance friends or whatever you call them, when their seasons was up, and now I'm listening to that these seasons are over, and as God continued to
Mm,
show me things about these people, they start falling off, and
mhm,
but then I didn't want to be around anybody. you know my house used to be the
mm,
house of gathering. Like I said, my house was the house that everybody comes to. They get their peace. Literally throughout my house, there's different affirmation, there's positive things that you can walk through my house. But for the past 2 years, I kind of shut it down. Actually, I shut myself down. I didn't go outside. I think I went outside for a funeral. I mean, not a funeral, a wedding. um,
mhm,
and that's it. So I kind of like shut myself down so I can get more connected with myself spiritually. And why I did this is because
mm,
I wanted to prepare myself for what is to come, meaning that I had to make sure that I was doing my work first, and that I knew that I was being set up to be out there in this world to share my story and be naked. I'm
mm.
naked as a jaybird. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And so even with responding to comments and or whatever, that I have to be prepared to always be on the higher vibration. And so I had to learn how
Mm,
to not take it personal and understand that it's something that they're going through. But I had to sit down for a while and be in that. Even with dealing with my,
mm,
that I had to understand that there will be things that she's going to say to me that would have broke me down a few years ago. I've probably been ready to choke my mom. You understand what I'm saying?
mhm,
But now what that helped me to not only understand tolerance, understanding, compassion, empathy for others. You know what I'm saying? And as I am sharing and being vulnerable, you're right. It does give someone a sense of respect because they're like, wow, this person is just open like this. And then
yes,
people don't even look
yes,
at it as vulnerability. They look at it as strength. Like, damn, like when I was looking at you, that was a superhero type of move for you to share that. And you were 30 something years old when you finally realized that. A lot of people won't say
mhm,
that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So you being able to do that and say that, that's that superhero power. So when I
mhm,
say goddess, oh yes, I mean my goddess shit for real. And I'm not
yes,
taking it, I'm not allowing anybody to take that away from me. At 18, 19 years old, when I got
mm,
that tattoo on my back, that tramp stamp, mean about the God
mhm,
within me, our God in spirit,
mhm,
that's exactly what it is.
right,
That's what's shining out right now, bright and loud. And it's showing
yeah,
all of my authentic self with it.
wow. And I gotta say, when you say authenticity and you live that, you don't care about winning, you don't care about losing, you care about being.
Yeah.
And people that are stuck on this binary mindset of life, input, output, up, down. I'm winning, I get the job, I don't get the job. It's like, but who are you in all this?
Yeah.
Who are you in all this? And I think that even with me, there is this, like, when I got done with the PhD, it took me a year to like get back to socializing again. I was so burnt out from doing that it was hard for me to be open. It was hard for me to speak again. It was hard for me to just be open with people, go out places. And I realized that it took me a year to like reset my life to just be a part of people's lives again. And I think the hardest part about it was telling people how I actually felt the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. And a lot of unhealthy relationships and connections and attachments, I noticed that when I was actually authentic the first time, they couldn't say anything else. They would just leave. I would literally say, hey, I like being around you, but I get really exhausted at nighttime with you. Maybe we can hang out in the morning time. They're like, oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So you didn't want to hang out with me? We can hang out in the morning. It's literally me saying how I felt in the moment, what I needed from them. And they realized that they could not fulfill that because they didn't get what they wanted. They couldn't fulfill me because they couldn't get what they wanted. So then they just didn't see it as valuable anymore. And so it makes me really consider like, well, if I'm not vulnerable the first time, that means that I'm creating an unhealthy attachment. So that's on me now.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of us have made relationships that were not based upon our own vulnerability?
Mm-hmm.
Think of how much time we would have saved if we would have just been vulnerable with them rather than trying to be the thing that we thought we were or the thing that they thought that we were for them.
Yeah. 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 You know, that goes, okay, yeah. I can't go down there.
I'm like, but put the anchor down.
Yeah, I'm about to go down there. Okay, nope, I'm not going down there.
Yeah, come on, we can do it. We got time. Come on. I got the shovel. Let's do this.
All right, so now we're going to talk about cultivating self-love practices. All right. So how can our listeners cultivate self-love and support their authentic selves?
Well, unfortunately, I got to answer the question. When have you ever felt love? When was the first time you truly felt loved? It wasn't the moment that made love. It was the way you identified with yourself that made the love.
Mm-hmm.
And can you get that identity back? Or do you want that identity back that created that love feeling? I remember the first time I first felt love, and it was this passion. It was passion. And it had nothing to do with anybody else. It had to do with what I felt truly myself. And then I found other ways to unlock that feeling. Right. And that I grew into that. So when it comes to self-love, you have to ask yourself, when was the first time you truly felt consciously, you're like, I am loved? Who was around you? Why were they there? What were you doing? I want to know that, right? I think if you start there, we can start understanding that self-love is a product of passion, where you're entering passion, true passion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, so let me say this. For me, I'm going to say it was 10 years ago. 10 years, almost 11 years ago.
Okay.
When I was on bed rest. And I remember going through this, I don't know what it was. It was something. It was crazy. I remember just being up late at night. I'm speaking with my uncle who was a minister, a pastor. I remember at that time, I remember a lot of people coming to me with different problems and situations, and I would be able to answer them and be able to help them. But I felt like I couldn't help myself, you know? Yeah. And so I remember creating my closet, and I remember sitting in that closet, and I remember writing out the letters to ask for forgiveness, the letters to forgive. I remember being on the phone and calling, my family members and apologize. I remember going through all of those, all of that. And I remember at the end of it, I felt it was just like a big release just came over my head. And at that moment, it was like I don't have to try anymore. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care if anybody loved me. It's now time for me to love myself. Does that make sense?
Mm,
And so that was the
yeah.
first time
Wow.
I felt that moment. And then when I look around and I see those that was around me that loved me, not love me for being on red carpet, not any of those, but I saw who they are and they still with me now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, that's when I felt that true love, that true love for myself. And I saw that those around me, they were just an extension of my true love. The crazy thing is
Mm,
that when I talk to them about self-love and true love, they look at me like I got three heads, because the way that they look at me, that I've always had self-love, that I was always, and it was,
right.
I didn't see it. I
Right.
guess they didn't see me where I felt like I was jumping through hoops or they didn't see it. So
Mm-hmm.
even though my growth is now, they see that growth too, but they was like, oh, that's always been you.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that because that makes me so happy you said that because when people see me in performances or on stage, they see the hair, they just see everything going on, they see the passion, the fire, and then when they see me off stage, they're just like, who are these two different things? I'm like, the passion is still there. It's just that's an output of my passion, and then the input is me reading a book. It's
Mhm.
still there, and I recognize that. And then also when they see me just like walking and quiet and I'm just sitting in the corner, they're like, what's wrong? I'm like, i'm I'm just,
Being.
yeah, just being. They're like, oh, I'm like, I don't walk around with like fireworks behind me everywhere I go, right? And it's not like when I walk in, like I just put fireworks out in the room, like. And I think that when people recognize you're authentic and they look at your self-love,
Yeah.
they realize that you are your own flow. It doesn't matter what room you walk in.
Yeah.
You are your room. You are your home. You are your place. I've been wanting to move in different places. I want to think other states and other countries. I've been asked to move in places, but I tell people like home is where my heart is,
Yeah.
and I am my heart. I am my home, and I think that when people are around me, they feel that too because I'm not expecting anything. When it comes
Yeah.
to self love, I'm not expecting anything from anybody other than how I'm going to pour, right? And I think the best analogy for this is, you know, when it comes to love, you're pouring into people's cups, right? Because you have that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to self-love, you're not tipping your cup. You're just pouring, it's just pouring out. And whoever puts their cup under, they'll get what they need and they keep moving. I'm
And I
not worried about how I'm pouring my cup.
I love when you said that to me. That's the first time when you said it. That was the first time that I ever heard that, and I thought that was amazing because we do, as you say, we always look to tip our cup. Just to tip our
Mm-hmm.
cup, whether it's whether we see it half full or half empty, but we
Mm-hmm.
always tipping it. Never do we really sit in it and work on just filling it up and letting it to overflow to where it's just drenched out to
Exactly.
whoever want to come around and be able to grab it. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we're not in the thirst mode. You know what I'm saying? We're not in that survival
Exactly.
mode. We're not in that need for love, validation, none of that.
Exactly.
We just being, just being.
Mm. Just being. I'm not trying to be up, down, left, right. I'm just trying to be. Just try to
I'm
be.
just, I'm just being. I'm just trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to be. All right, so I want to do this. I have a few affirmations that I just want you all um, to just repeat after me. We're not going to close our eyes. We're not going to do that. But if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, then close your eyes. I just wanted to share this. One that I say to myself all the time is, I am worthy of love and respect just as I am. I am worthy of love and respect just as I am. My next one is, my authentic self is my truest form of power. My authentic self is my truest form of power. And my last one is what I shared with you earlier. I embrace my uniqueness and allow my authentic self to shine. And when I'm able to look at those and speak those 3 trifectas into my life, that is when I know I'm good. I can't even, I have a spiritual high. My spiritual high is every day.
Yes.
It's every day.
I tell people often, I go, I am inevitably positive. I am inevitably positive. So if you don't like, that's just who I've become, right? It didn't start, but I learned to become that.
Yeah.
And I'm inevitably positive. Even in my hardship, I'm like, character building arc. Let's do this. I'm having a hard time. Like, this is gonna kill. This would be great for my character. What's the problem I got? Cause I'm excited. Because I'm gonna get through it. I know I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah.
I just want to like how. Like I'm excited. Like okay, let's figure this out. Like what are the karmic cycles that are gonna be coming back? Who's gonna be revisiting my life?
Oh my
coming.
God.
There's some old exes and flames that are gonna come back and try to be a part of my life. I'm just excited. I'm like, bring it on. I want to know. I got the language. I got the willpower. I'm enough. I'm loved. I'm unleashing my unique self in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want it.
That's literally how I am. Like serious. Like I'd be like, it's something that I'm supposed to see. It's something that you're supposed to see in this. Like, just step back. Sit in it for a minute. Whatever you're gonna do, sit in it for a minute. Just don't stay there. Now look around.
Yeah.
Just envision it.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny before we talked today, before we one of my girlfriends, she had called me and she had shared this information with me. And she told me don't say nothing to nobody. But I'm like, it's about me. Somebody just literally created a whole damn lie about me. This person said that I had an argument or a fight with them. And it was the reason why the other person broke up. I know she's gonna be mad. Like, did you really? Yes, I just shared it because it's I'm gonna tell you how I reacted to it. I'm like, wait, what happened?
What?
Like, what happened? I was like, with me? She said, yeah, that's what she told my girlfriend. I said, with me? She said, yeah. Mind you, I only seen this woman one time who was brought to my house by the girlfriend that I was talking to. So I only seen this woman one time in my home. She created a whole story about being in my presence, but made it to where it was negative. And she said a whole bunch of words. And my girlfriend, she would say, and I said, well, you know what? And she said, because she said a whole bunch. I said, well, what did she say? So the girlfriend didn't want to say. I said, girl, tell me what this girl said. She said, because she said you was washed up. I said, I probably am washed up to a lot of people, but I mean, and then I kind of knew where it came from. I knew where it came from. I said, oh, that's where it came from. I said, this woman don't know Adam. What happened is that a person who she was dating was a great admirer of mine, and we were really close. And so this person spoke very highly of me, and you could not understand why that was happening.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even about me. Like I told the girl, that ain't even about me. That's her shortcomings. That's what she feel about her. So I can't tell that to her. And she was like, but I was just wondering. I said, girl, can we talk about something? We don't need to talk about this no more.
So, okay. Can I just break this down? Can I please break this down? I want to analyze this. So what I love about this story is that Dave Chappelle talked about this one time, a long time ago, about how sometimes you're living your story, and then sometimes you're living someone else's story. You're living in someone else's story. And so when they came into your home, they wrote their story about you and their life. Rather than actually just seeing you as a person, they already had a story about you. And they're like, okay, let me start writing this in my book about them and just writing all these things. And they've never had to own their own authentic self yet. Because the truth is that when the audacity of being authentic, right? The audacity of it is that you don't care if you look good or look bad. You care about being who you are. And so you can tell the story because you're like, I got nothing to lose because this is who I am. So I have nothing to lose about. I don't wash up. And the fact that you're like washed up, you're like, well, yeah, there might be some credibility to that. It's not even about like was it a good thing or a bad thing, or was like yeah, I can see how they could think that way. You don't take it personally anymore because it's about the meaning of, well, what was their perspective, right? How are they writing me in their story and not actually seeing me in my life? And so many people lack the ability to see how people show up in their life. And so they'd rather write the story to protect themselves from their own lack of authenticity.
Right.
And once again, I told you earlier, you are a light bringer. You bring light to people. And so when they have to see themselves, they're either going to accept it or reject themselves.
You said that. You said that. And actually, my girlfriend, she said that too. And she said, because I said, but you know what? That's a old, that you ain't even friends with her no more. So we ain't even aligned with her no more.
What's the obligation?
Like,
What's
let's
the
not,
obligation?
like, no. And I don't want to ever say nobody is not worthy of our time or our moment or nothing like that. My thing is that for her, hopefully that she do go through the healing. That's my prayer. Hopefully that she do go through the healing in whatever stories that she has written of someone that she has saw. Maybe she can get a lesson from that, because which her eyes truly seen was the truth versus here. So maybe she can trust in that and say, okay, and forgive herself, because she did whatever that was, that story that she wrote, she did it to herself, no one else.
Yes. And
You
think about
understand?
how many other people she wrote. And think about how many other people she's wrote in that story.
Yes.
And I wonder if has she ever written herself?
Mm.
That's
And
that inner work we talk
that's
about.
yeah, exactly. 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 Yeah.
And I know you're being nice about, like, she's not unworthy and she's not valuable. But let's just keep it consistent with the fact that it wasn't her time to meet you.
No.
Right?
No.
That was she didn't do that for herself. She did that because of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And she tried to take over their life, which is a product of that, right? Like the complex of that is she's mimicking lives to be a part of someone else's projection of
Yeah.
love or connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their journey. Maybe you might have been a checkpoint, but
No.
it'll come. It wasn't her time. It's not worthy. It's not worthy at this time.
No. That is not. But what my statement
Mhm.
was is that not to say that she wasn't worthy. You understand?
Mm, yeah.
Because it
Okay.
wasn't. I kind of saw her before she saw me, meaning that I saw her.
Mm,
I
yeah.
saw her. I saw her with my friend. I questioned my friend, why are you with her? In my mind. But then that's me being judgmental, because everybody has their different relationships with one another. So the crazy thing, and I don't know if she might listen to me, she had her 50th birthday a few years ago. And I remember going to, being at her birthday party, and the group of women, the group of friends that she had, I said, this is it. These are your friends. These ladies right here, because they wasn't trying to compete, they wasn't trying to outshine. They were all there to celebrate you in their friendship with you. There was, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see no side eyes. I seen them all, coming in, and we all helped.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? It was really a sisterhood. And for my friend there, it's hard because she is in Hollywood, so you do have a lot of those fake people around you that you want to try to be able to fit in, and she might listen,
mm,
you know, I've always, because I can see her authentic self, but she has a wall up and a mask on that's
yeah.
so heavy that a lot of people don't see it. And
Mm,
I really want people to see you, because you are a beautiful person. Your spirit and beautiful is just, man. And when you realize it, you are going to be amazing. You are
mm.
going to be amazing. And
But that authenticity breeds grace,
yeah,
right? And so I really appreciate the way that you show grace in that moment, because you could have been completely opposite. You could have said all these things and just like went in, but you saw grace in the opportunity because it was bigger than that moment.
Mhm.
It's always bigger than the moment,
Yeah.
and many of us don't want to be a part of that,
Yeah.
right? We don't want to be a part of that gracious moment where it's like, I see where you are, I understand.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. It was funny. I had this conversation today, and I said, I don't know if I can be around anybody else that can't appreciate my growth.
Ow, ow,
Yeah.
ah. Ugh, I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
I'm going through that right now, and that one hurt because I'm being very patient. I'm going to be very patient. I'm going to be very tolerant. I'm going to be very enduring. And I want them to see it. I want them to see it because they deserve it. I
Hmm.
want them to see it because I know that they too are growing.
Hmm.
And I think because I'm so used to working on myself, I'm used
Hmm.
to sharing that. And
Hmm.
a lot of people that are new to growing
Hmm.
are very, not saying selfish, but they're very it's like, I'm healing. I'm like, but you're missing what's everything in front of you. Like, nope, I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm healing. It's like, but you got to do this. So you can see,
Hmm.
it's like, I just need you to just be a little more vulnerable. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you're so hardened in your own healing that
Yes.
you don't get to unleash that unique self in
Yes.
that process.
Hmm.
Because you had that when you lower when you make that vulnerability occur, that uniqueness gets to flourish.
Yeah.
You got to have that in that inner working period, and people just they missed out on that part. Then they have
Yeah.
to do it again.
Hmm. Yeah. But I'm sticking to mine. I'm just not. I'm just,
Right?
the same conversations over and over again. I just, I believe that I've been very patient and tolerant enough. I um
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of things I've outgrown those relationships, meaning as just because we're family and blood runs through doesn't mean that I have to stay there with you because that's not allowing you to grow
Mm.
and it's not allowing me to grow. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, not that I want you to do what I want you to do, but you have to understand that there is no growth. Now, when you say you see people trying to grow, yes, I'm talking about people who don't think they need to grow, that they're good just where they are
That's
at.
scary.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm saying me, even though you might see the potential in them and you've even been in there to push. But if they don't want
Hmm.
to budge and all they try to do is try to bring you down to there, no, there's something has to cut off,
Mm.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I call that not. I tell people you can't push other people's tornadoes,
Mm,
right? Like you can't push someone. We have our own tornadoes,
yeah.
right? And I can't push that. The moment I probably put my hand in that wind, it's gonna cut me up, swirl me around. You
Hmm.
can't push other people's tornadoes. And do you have the eyes and the awareness and the spiritual awareness to understand how big that person's tornado is?
Yeah. Now I do. Before I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Before, especially when you first going through the spiritual way, you just feel like you can able to speak and talk and save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. I remember my clairvoyant friend told me, he just came out and he said, you cannot save your family.
Mm.
He said, you cannot. He said, as gifted as they are, you have to let them walk their own walk.
Wow.
He said, you, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I know. He just said, I see it. I know. You know, and sure enough. And then he was able to actually meet and speak to some of my family members. And I remember having another conversation with me. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can't save them all. He said, you cannot save them. He said, when they are ready, they will come. He said, but no, he said, because it's going to
Mm,
slow you down and you're going to still stay in that abandonment type of, because you're trying to help everybody. He said, but
yeah.
yeah, mm-hmm,
Wow.
yeah,
And I think that's the hardest thing is knowing that sometimes you're only the seed in people's lives. And I think that's one of the hardest things, especially as a therapist. As much as you see, sometimes you're only going to be the seed, and you're never going to be able to see it grow because you're supposed to move on, and they're supposed to move on too.
yeah. Yeah, that kind of got me like a little, yeah, mm-hmm. I see that. I feel that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I see that. I feel that. Yeah, I do. Well, again, this has been a great show.
Yes. Thank you for being patient with me.
Oh, come on now.
It was
All right,
good.
do you have any last words before we close it out?
Yes, actually something different than normal. I just want to tell people that when it comes to being authentic, just remember that when you empower your choice, others will give you transparency. Empower your choice, other people will give transparency. So
Mm,
just remember that when you choose yourself, when you power your own choice, people will show you who they are right from the beginning. And they'll either hurt you, hold you, or help you.
mm.
Just be mindful of that.
Well, thank you for those words. Thank you for that. And my beautiful people out here that's listening right here to the Season of Self Love. Again, I want to thank you all for just continue to join us here Monday through Friday here, and just enjoying it in this conversation. Again, if you guys have anything that you want to add to this, you can always leave a comment or send an email, as well as make sure you sign up for our Season of Self Love Facebook page. It's new. It's freshly new. So you can go over there and
Mm,
yeah, it's freshly new. I've been working.
I'm gonna follow that. I'm gonna follow that.
I've been
Mhm.
working. I've been working a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working a little bit. So again, next time, join us on this beautiful platform that I am just so very proud of. I really am. So until then, keep nurturing your mind, your body, and your soul on this journey to self-love. And have a good one. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Season of Self-Love podcast. And we hope that you enjoyed this fun filled with inspiration, empowerment, and self-discovery. Remember, practicing self-love is a journey and not a destination. For more information and to stay connected with us, visit our website at theseasonofselflovepodcast.com. And if you have any suggestions or questions or feedback, feel free to shoot us an email at seasonofselflove@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook for daily doses of self-love tips, motivation, and community support. So join our Facebook group, The Season of Self-Love, to connect with like-minded individuals on their journey to self-discovery and self-compassion. Thank you again for being a part of our community and dedicating to nurturing self-love and embracing self-worth. So stay tuned for more exciting episodes and guests in the next season. And remember, you are worthy of love, kindness, and all the happiness in the world. So until next time, take care of yourself and spread love wherever you go. See you soon.